Have you ever been so angry that instead of shouting, you started crying? It feels confusing, doesn't it? If anger is supposed to make us look strong, powerful, or aggressive, then why do tears sometimes appear at the very moment we are furious? And here is a question I want you to think about throughout this video. If crying is usually associated with sadness, why does the body choose to cry when we are angry? Stay with me until the end, because we will answer that question completely, and you may discover that those tears are not a sign of weakness at all. Anger is one of the most powerful emotions human beings experience. It can appear in a split second. Somebody insults us. A friend betrays our trust. A partner does not understand our feelings. A coworker takes credit for our hard work, or life simply feels unfair. In these moments, many people expect themselves to respond with raised voices, harsh words, or aggressive behavior. But sometimes something different happens. The throat tightens. The eyes start burning. The chest feels heavy. And before we know it, tears begin to fall. This experience is far more common than most people realize. In fact, crying when angry is a natural human response, and it happens to people of all ages, genders, and personalities. The first reason people cry when they are angry is emotional overload. Our brains can only process so much emotional intensity at one time. When anger becomes extremely strong, the nervous system can become overwhelmed. Think of it like a pot of water on a stove. As the heat increases, pressure builds inside. Eventually, steam has to escape. In a similar way, tears can act as a release valve for intense emotional pressure. The body is trying to regulate itself. It is trying to reduce the internal tension created by overwhelming feelings. The second reason people cry during anger is that anger often hides other emotions. Many people think anger is a primary emotion. But very often, anger is actually a protective layer covering something deeper. Beneath anger, there may be hurt. There may be rejection. There may be disappointment. There may be fear. There may be feelings of powerlessness. Imagine someone you love breaking a promise. You may feel angry. But if you look deeper, you may realize the true pain comes from feeling unimportant or betrayed. The tears are often connected to those deeper feelings. This is why people sometimes say, "I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm so mad." The reality is that multiple emotions can exist together. The third reason involves the body's stress response. When we become angry, the body releases stress hormones. Heart rate increases. Muscles tighten. Blood pressure rises. The body prepares for action. However, the human nervous system also seeks balance. Crying can help activate processes that allow the body to begin calming down. It is one of the ways the body attempts to recover from intense, emotional activation. In other words, tears may be part of the body's natural recovery system. Another important reason people cry when angry is frustration. Frustration occurs when we feel stuck. We know what we want, but we cannot get it. We want to be understood, but nobody listens. We want fairness, but the situation feels unjust. We want change, but nothing seems to improve. The feeling of being trapped can create immense emotional pressure. And that pressure often leads to tears. Children display this very clearly. When a child is told they cannot have something they want, they may cry in frustration. Adults experience the same emotion, even though the situations are different. The next reason has to do with past experiences. Some people grew up in environments where expressing anger was not safe. Perhaps they were punished for showing anger. Perhaps they were told to stay quiet. Perhaps they learned that anger would lead to conflict or rejection. Over time, the mind may learn to suppress anger. When anger eventually emerges, it may come out as tears instead of direct expression. This does not mean something is wrong with the person. It simply reflects how their emotional system adapted to earlier experiences. Society also plays a role. Many people receive messages about how they should express emotions. Some are taught that anger is unacceptable. Others are taught that crying is a sign of weakness. As a result, they feel conflicted when intense emotions arise. They may judge themselves for crying. They may feel embarrassed. They may think they have lost control. But the truth is that emotions are not moral failures. They are human experiences. Crying does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are overly sensitive. It does not mean your feelings are invalid. It simply means your emotional system is responding to something that matters to you. Now let's talk about how to overcome anger that leads to distressing or uncontrollable crying. The first step is to stop fighting the emotion. Many people try to force their tears away. They clench their jaw. They hold their breath. They tell themselves not to cry. Ironically, this often makes the emotion stronger. Acknowledge what you are feeling. Say to yourself, I am angry right now. This simple act of numbing the emotion can help reduce its intensity. The second step is to identify what is underneath the anger. Ask yourself, am I hurt? Am I feeling rejected? Am I disappointed? Am I afraid of losing something important? Am I feeling powerless? When you discover the deeper emotion, you gain greater clarity about what you actually need. The third step is to regulate your body. Anger is not just a mental experience. It is a physical experience. Take slow, controlled breaths. Relax your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. If possible, step away from the situation for a few minutes. Giving your nervous system time to settle can prevent emotions from escalating further. The fourth step is to express your feelings clearly. Instead of attacking others, describe your experience. For example, instead of saying, "You never care about me," you might say, "I felt hurt when my concerns were not heard." This style of communication reduces conflict and increases the chances of being understood. The fifth step is to develop emotional awareness on a daily basis. Many people only notice their feelings when they reach a breaking point. Try checking in with yourself throughout the day. Ask yourself what you are feeling. The more familiar you become with your emotions, the less likely they are to overwhelm you. Journaling can also be helpful. Writing down your thoughts creates space between you and the emotion. It allows you to see patterns that may otherwise go unnoticed. Over time, you may discover certain triggers that consistently lead to anger and tears. Once you identify those patterns, you can begin responding to them more effectively. It is also important to practice self-compassion. When people cry during anger, they often criticize themselves. They think they should have been stronger. They think they should have been more composed. But self-criticism usually creates even more emotional distress. Treat yourself with the same understanding you would offer a close friend. Remember that every human being has emotional limits. And finally, if anger or emotional reactions are causing significant problems in your life, speaking with a mental health professional can be extremely beneficial. There is strength in learning new ways to understand and manage emotions. Now, let's return to the question we asked at the beginning. If crying is usually associated with sadness, why does the body choose to cry when we are angry? The answer is that tears are not just about sadness. They are a natural response to intense emotional activation. When anger becomes overwhelming, when hurt hides beneath the surface, when frustration feels unbearable, or when the nervous system is struggling to regain balance, tears can become the body's way of releasing that pressure. So the next time you or someone else cries during anger, remember this. Those tears are not necessarily a sign of weakness. They may actually be evidence of a human being experiencing powerful emotions and a body doing its best to process them. And sometimes, the strongest thing we can do is not hide our emotions, but understand them.